Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 3 Review. An overall stellar season can be a bit crowded, but I'm having too much fun to care. 3 seasons in, Star Trek Strange New Worlds has found the perfect sweet spot between the optimism of classic Trek and the complexity modern audiences crave. Season 3 feels like a confident, full-throttle celebration of everything that makes Star Trek endure: rich character arcs, daring ideas, and a willingness to push the boundaries of tone and storytelling. It's not perfect. In fact, it's arguably the most overstuffed season yet. But when the show's firing on all thrusters, it's hard to complain. Strange New Worlds continues to be the most joyous, human, and heartfelt Star Trek of the modern era. A season that dares to go boldly, even if it gets busy. Season 3 of Strange New Worlds embraces chaos in the best possible way. It juggles an ever-growing cast, deeper continuity ties, and a more serialized story than before. Yet somehow, it never loses its sense of adventure. From the very first episode, A Quality of Mercy, Part 2, which picks up threads from Season 2's tense finale, the series establishes that this is going to be a season about consequences. Pike is still haunted by his knowledge of the future, Una is finding her footing as an openly Illyrian officer, and Lon continues to wrestle with the emotional fallout of her time travel encounter with Kirk. If Season 2 was about experimenting with tone and genre, musicals, courtroom dramas, and crossovers, Season 3 refines that experiment. The show feels comfortable enough in its identity now that it doesn't have to prove its cleverness. It just is. And that makes for a smoother, more emotionally cohesive ride, even if the ship occasionally gets bogged down by how many stories it's trying to tell at once. Pike's burden and balance. Anson Mount continues to anchor the show with a performance that's effortlessly magnetic. Captain Christopher Pike remains one of the most empathetic and grounded captains in Star Trek history. But unlike previous seasons, Season 3 allows Pike to feel less like a mythic hero and more like a man wrestling with the limits of his own idealism. The specter of his future, his inevitable accident, hangs over him still, but it's no longer paralyzing him. Instead, he's channeling that knowledge into a desperate attempt to do as much good as possible while he can. That energy makes Pike's decisions bolder and riskier this season. There's a standout moment in Episode 6, The Heart of Rigel 7, where Pike's diplomacy is tested against a potential war, and he has to make a call that risks the crew's safety to preserve peace. It's a callback to the original series' moral dilemmas, but with a more modern emotional core. Pike's humanity has always been his strength, and this season leans into that without turning him into a saint. Spock's transformation continues. If there's one character who embodies Strange New Worlds' emotional depth, it's Ethan Peck Spock. Season 3 gives him some of his most compelling material yet. Following the events of Season 2's finale and his complicated romance with Nurse Chapel, Spock is now forced to reconcile the dual halves of himself more urgently than ever. There's an episode midway through the season, The Vulcan Paradox, that beautifully explores his struggle through a mission that tests both his logic and his empathy. It's one of the best Spock episodes in any Trek series. Peck plays him with just the right amount of vulnerability, a Spock still learning what control really means. His scenes with Chapel Jess Bush remain emotionally charged, even after their relationship cools. The writers resist the temptation to neatly tie their story up, instead letting the distance between them become part of their individual growth. It's heartbreak handled with maturity. Una's new chapter and Lon's quiet strength. Rebecca Ramin's Una Chin Riley finally gets the depth she's long deserved. Her Season 3 arc, which deals with the aftermath of her public revelation as an Illyrian, becomes a fascinating study of identity and leadership. In one standout episode, Illumination, Una mentors a young officer hiding her own genetic secret, leading to one of the most heartfelt moments of the season. It's a powerful reminder that Strange New Worlds can deliver emotional storytelling as gracefully as it does high-concept sci-fi. Meanwhile, Christina Chong's Lon Noonien Singh continues to be the show's quiet powerhouse. Still recovering from her time-looped heartbreak with an alternate Kirk, Lon channels her inner turmoil into her duties, often becoming the emotional anchor of the crew. She doesn't get as many spotlight episodes this season, but when she does, especially in Remnants, a tense, character-driven bottle episode, she steals the show. A strong ensemble that sometimes trips over its own ambition. One of the great joys of Strange New Worlds is that it treats its ensemble as a true family. Ortega's Melissa Navia finally gets some long-overdue development in Season 3, including a surprisingly introspective episode exploring her background as a pilot before Starfleet. Uhura Celia Rose Gooding continues to blossom, her curiosity and empathy making her one of the show's most consistently moving presences. Mabenga Babs Olusen Moken remains fascinatingly complex, though his darker past in the Klingon War feels a bit underexplored this time. The only downside of this rich tapestry is that sometimes it's simply too much. A few episodes try to balance too many subplots at once, jumping from a major Federation crisis to a romantic subplot to a philosophical debate, all in the span of 50 minutes. It's exhilarating but occasionally disorienting. Still, when the show stumbles, it does so with ambition, not apathy. I'll take messy passion over calculated dullness any day. Visual brilliance and classic Trek charm. If the first 2 seasons set a high visual standard, Season 3 somehow manages to top it. The production design remains stunning. The Enterprise gleams like a living museum of futuristic optimism, and the alien worlds are full of color and texture. The show has found a way to blend the vibrant palette of the original series with the sleek modern visuals of Discovery. It's easily one of the best-looking shows on television right now. But beyond the spectacle, Strange New Worlds remembers the small details that make Star Trek special. The quiet crew dinners, the philosophical conversations in Pike's quarters, the moral debates that leave you thinking long after the credits roll. Those quieter moments give the bombastic ones meaning. Tonal variety remains the secret weapon. Even in its 3rd season, Strange New Worlds refuses to be just one thing. The tonal experimentation that defines Season 2 continues, but it feels more organic this time. One week you might get a tense balance of terror-style space standoff. The next, a heartfelt exploration of grief and faith. And then, perhaps, a lighthearted romp involving a holodeck mishap. The magic is that all of it feels authentically Star Trek. There's even a bold episode late in the season, Children of Tomorrow, that takes a surprisingly dark turn, exploring the psychological toll of constant danger on a starship crew. It's one of the most mature, unsettling hours of Trek in years, and it proves that Strange New Worlds can balance levity with gravitas better than most modern sci-fi shows. The crowding problem and why it hardly matters. Let's be honest, Strange New Worlds Season 3 is a little overstuffed. Between advancing Pike's arc, exploring Spock's duality, deepening Una's backstory, checking in on Chapel, developing Ortega's, and sprinkling in classic Trek homages, it sometimes feels like the writer's room is trying to fit 10 seasons worth of ideas into one. But here's the thing, I don't mind. Every episode feels like it's bursting with creativity, heart, and a deep respect for Star Trek's legacy. When the show throws too much at you, it's out of love for its characters, for its history, and for its audience. The occasional pacing issue is a small price to pay for the sheer joy of a show that genuinely cares about being Star Trek. The legacy factor. By Season 3, Strange New Worlds isn't just another entry in the Trek canon. It's become the beating heart of modern Star Trek. It manages to honor Gene Roddenberry's original vision of exploration and idealism while adapting it for a new era that's more morally complicated and emotionally raw. It's not afraid to be funny, romantic, or weird. It's human, in a way many sci-fi shows forget to.